Alright, let's dive into a series that, for the longest time, has been one of Gundam's biggest hidden gems. We're talking about the 1996 post-apocalyptic epic, Mobile New Century Gundam X.
Everything in this show really kind of boils down to this one simple question. Is the moon out? When you hear this line, you just know it sets the stage for a story about finding hope when it feels like all is lost.
Okay, so let's just get the big elephant out of the room right away. You've probably heard the rumors, right? That Gundam X was a failure, that it got canceled because of bad ratings. It's a reputation that's followed the show for years.
But is that really the whole story? Of course not. The truth about its shortened run and the incredible legacy it left behind is frankly a lot more interesting than just calling it canceled. So what's Gundam X all about? Well, if you strip away all the sci-fi and politics, at its heart, it's one of the most timeless stories there is. A boy meets a girl and a giant robot.
Our hero is Garrod Ran. He's just a 15-year-old kid, an orphan, who's gotten really good at piloting mobile suits to survive. He gets hired for a pretty sketchy job, to capture this girl, Tiffa Adil. But you know how these things go, he pretty quickly decides he'd much rather protect her from the people chasing her. See, Tiffa isn't just some girl, she's a Newtype, which in the Gundam world means she has these amazing psychic abilities. And it's those powers that lead Garrod to a dusty old military base, where he finds a legendary weapon from the last war just sitting there, the Gundam X. And that's what kicks off their big journey across this totally shattered world, just looking for a safe place to call home.
And when I say shattered, I mean it. The After War setting is one of the most unique and honestly bleakest in the entire Gundam franchise, and it all happened because of one single world-ending event.
So get this, 15 years before our story even starts, the 7th Space War ends in the worst way imaginable. The space colonies just start dropping themselves on Earth. We're talking dozens of them. The result? 99% of all humanity gone, wiped out. So the world we see in the show is literally built on the rubble of that catastrophe.
So how do you make a living in a world like this? Well, you become what they call a vulture. That's what people like Garrod are. They're part scavenger, part mercenary, part merchant, just digging through the ruins of the old war to find anything valuable they can sell or use.
As society starts to pull itself back together, you've got three main groups vying for power. There's the New Earth Federation, basically the old government trying to get back in control. You've got the Space Revolutionary Army, still up in orbit, obsessed with the idea that Newtype should be in charge. And then, caught in the middle, you have Garrod and Tiffa's new family, the crew of the Vulture landship Frieden, who just want to protect Newtypes from being used as weapons by either side.
Okay, let's get to the really good stuff, the mobile suits. Because Gundam X has one of the most insanely powerful, absolutely awesome superweapons in the entire history of Gundam. Seriously.
And here it is, the Gundam X. This thing isn't a new prototype, it's a relic, a monster machine left over from the war that broke the world. Even without its special trick, it's a beast. But its real power, well, it comes from the moon.
That special trick is called the satellite cannon, and it is just wild. There's a solar power station on the moon, right? It fires a massive beam of microwave energy down to Earth. The Gundam X catches that beam with its giant reflector panels, and then unleashes a blast so powerful it can literally vaporize a space colony in one shot. It's the perfect theme for the show, isn't it? A new generation forced to use the terrifying, destructive power left behind by the past.
But, and this is a huge but, there are two massive catches. First, you need a clear line of sight to the moon. No moon in the sky, no superweapon for you. And second, to even call for the beam, you need a new type, like Tiffa, to use something called the flash system to sync up with the base on the moon. So without her, the Gundam X is just a really, really tough mobile suit with a big, useless backpack.
So you've got this awesome world and a great story. But what is it that really makes Gundam X so special? Well, the answer is that this show had the guts to take on one of the most sacred ideas in all of Gundam and turn it on its head. See, Gundam X was the last of the three big Another Gundam shows from the 90s, which all had their own separate timelines. G-Gundam was a wild martial arts tournament. Gundam Wing was this cool, complex political drama. And then came Gundam X, which used its post-apocalyptic world to ask, what if this whole new type thing isn't the answer?
And this is maybe the most radical thing the show did. Our hero, Garrod Ran, is not a new type. He's not a chosen one. He has no psychic powers. He is just a really, really good pilot who's tough as nails.
In a universe obsessed with these superhumans, our main character is just a normal guy. And that's what makes him so fantastic and so relatable.
The whole point of the show is that humanity's future doesn't depend on waiting for some magical, evolved person to come and save the day. It is, and this is a quote from the creators, a story of ordinary people who lived to the fullest, believing in the future. It's about finding the strength to move on from the past and build something new with your own two hands. So if you remember anything, remember these three things. 1. At its core, Gundam X is a beautiful and optimistic boy meets girl adventure. 2. It has an incredibly deep theme that dares to question the whole Newtype myth. And 3. Let's be real. The sheer romance and awesome power of a cannon fired from the moon is just undeniably cool.
In the end, Gundam X isn't really about the power you get from the past. It's about what you decide to build after it's all over. It leaves us with one of its own taglines, a question that feels more relevant than ever. After you've survived, what will you see?